Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on Hannah Morris Bouldering. Today we are a team of 3. We are going to be running a really interesting coaching video. B is going to be carrying out a full body scan on Hannah and myself, and we are going to be acting as the average, the typical climber, which will allow B to point out some of the most overlooked areas of our body.
Okay, so the full body scan always for me starts with the feet. So I've always been a firm believer that everything starts from the toes. If you scan from that point, your chance of spotting any missing links or weaknesses in the chain is far more effective in my experience. So we're going to start with the feet. We're then going to look at the knees and their relationship to the feet. We're then going to look at the hips and their relationship to the knees and the feet. We're then going to look within the hips at our core, looking a lot at the glutes and how they help support the hips. As you all know, I quite like talking about the glutes a lot. And then we're going to work our way up to the shoulders, giraffe neck, and then we're going to look at the fingers. And then lastly, we're going to think about how all of that really is pulled together using our minds. Okay, so the first thing that I look at when I profile a client is how their feet react when I give them certain exercises. For me, the importance of that foot is the first thing that I always get people to focus on when they step onto the wall is how they place their foot. If they don't have their awareness in their feet from their warm-up process, the chance that it's going to be there when they start climbing is a lot less. So the exercises that I provide at the beginning are ones that I've found have become the most helpful ones to the greatest majority of people that I work with. So what I'm looking for currently in Nathan's feet is a thing that I see kind of almost more regularly than not in the people that I profile. And because today I'm trying to spot the most common theme, so I can give hopefully the broadest helpful information to everybody, I'm going to ask Nathan to do a few exercises that may or may not highlight this common theme.
That's about what I've got.
Fantastic. And back up again. So we're going to look at just the stability in the arches of your foot as opposed to the tightness in your ankles and your calves.
What you're saying is there's more than one issue going on here, but we've only got time to focus on one.
That is what I'm saying, yes. So what I would like you to do this time is we're going to do a rockover-like experiment because I'm really interested to see if we can improve your rockovers on the wall by identifying something in your feet. Okay. So, just gradually rocking from side to side. So you're going to take your weight off the back foot and try and reach as high up on that left foot as you can. Fab, until that left leg is straight if you can, so you're getting maximum reach out of your body. Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool. Back to the middle. Cool. So what I'm noticing here, I'm going to try and talk mostly about the feet to start with, but what I'm seeing is your knees dropping inwards as you rock over onto the foot. And I believe at the moment that's because your arches are wanting to collapse a little bit. So rather than only looking at the knees and the hips in the climbing, if we look at the foot positioning, we can see how this part of your foot wants to collapse inwards a little bit, which then means that your knee wants to come in. Yeah. And it means if you were doing a movement like that on the wall, that's immediately pushing your hips away from the wall and not going to be allowing you to get as close as possible within that rockover position. Sure, okay. So I'm interested in giving you some exercises and really just some cues to help you to track your knee more over your little toe than your big toe. Okay. And it's quite a simple process. So I'm going to ask you to put all of your energy into your feet, and that's the only thing we're going to change is where you put your awareness. Okay. So I would now like you to do the same exercise, but I want you to try and put your weight more through your little toe, so the outside edge of your foot, and consciously lift the arch of your foot up. Okay. That should then allow your knee to track more of your little toe.
I mean, I can see the difference because I can see my big toe. If you're standing here doing this, the difference I think looking down is that, before I couldn't see any of my foot, it was covered by my knee and my leg. But now thinking about putting the weight on the outside of my foot, I can actually see probably the first two and a half toes inside of my knee now.
That's exactly the cue that I give as well. I want you to cover your little toe with your kneecap. Okay.
So what would you recommend to try and kind kind of make that amendment, would you just do this exercise as part of your warm-up?
Yep. So for yourself, I would give you a warm-up exercise where you're consciously thinking about rockover practice.
Yeah.
You're putting your energy into your feet, and you're quite literally going to do like 3 sets of 4 rockovers each side.
Yeah.
Building up to the point, for some people this is really hard, just to hover the back foot off the ground.
Yeah.
Building up to the point where on the exercise earlier, when I asked you to do this,
Yeah.
your knee was like, whoa,
Okay.
don't know where that is yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So your challenge would be to build up to the point where you can track really comfortably like this, and then you can hover and hold.
Sure.
And then lastly, you can stabilize.
Extension through it.
And yeah, like proper ballet dancer style. So I'd love to show you on the wall perhaps how that could help in your climbing.
Yes, that sounds great. That's good.
What I'm looking for now, Nathan, is to give you an example of a similar feeling to what we were doing in our warm-up routine on the wall. I'm not going to give you too many cues because I want to see what your body naturally does to start with.
Yeah.
You can use whatever you like for your hands, but your criteria is you've got to do a left foot rock over onto this red foot hold.
Off of this red one?
Yeah. Fabulous.
To make the move, like where am I generating the force? I was thinking like right hand, left foot as a combination.
Okay, cool.
I think.
Yep. And how, say I ask for a percentage gauge,
50-50.
how much? Yeah?
Yeah. I think
Okay,
so.
even, right, okay. So your challenge now, I want you to try and put more like 90 through the foot,
Okay.
10 through the hand.
Okay, I think I might have made it to 80-20.
Okay, cool.
Not sure.
Cool.
I made it 90-10, yeah.
Think nose over toes, over and up.
Okay.
So when you do it, rather than thinking of a rock over as being like a pull up towards the hold with the knee just slightly open, think of it as a nose over toes. I'm coming over the leg in order to then push up.
Okay.
Nice. The less we can hold on to that hold, really, in this kind of environment, the better. We're now going to look at Hannah's lovely body. Same thing that I did with Nathan, please, Hannah. Fabulous. And back up again. Look at that. Look what she can do, Nathan. And then gradually start rocking your knees over your toes. So because this time we're going to be looking more at your hips now and your relationship with your glutes, I'm looking for what cues can I give you in your core, in your glutes, that may help to bring your knees over your little toe and open your hips up. So what we're going to look at is, are you able to do a pelvic tilt and engage your bottom in a standing position? Very nice.
Is that tipping the...
You're about to say it.
I don't know, like the pelvis?
Yep.
Forwards?
Imagine it's a bucket of water.
Yes.
If we're standing with a bit of a lazy bum and tilting our shoulders forward and sticking our bum out, that bucket of water is tipping out forwards.
Yes, yeah,
We
that
want
makes a
to
lot of
tip
sense.
that bucket of water so it sort of levels up and tips more towards our chin than to our toes.
Sure.
So we're going to practice now, straight away within this warm-up, putting our awareness into our glutes. Same exercise. Squeeze your butt.
Is this width?
Yeah,
Still good?
whatever feels comfortable.
Okay. Squeeze and tilt.
Fab. Same level of squeeze on this side. Lovely. Cool. So you immediately look quite upright to me now.
Sure, yeah, the lengthening, I feel the lengthening effect of just in like a posture capacity.
So we're now going to look at if we were to release that back foot and you think about how you're engaging your glutes. There's lots of other things going on here, but for the sake of what we're talking about right now, I want you to think about how can I use my butt to help me balance and stabilise my knee over my little toe. And then just put your energy into your glutes and it will be on the side of the balancing foot. Nice. Can you feel your butt working?
I had to correct it then. Like I went back immediately into my habit of letting it all kind of...
Yeah, cool.
And then realised.
Perfect. So that is the awareness. That's what we're coming back to in every one of these exercises. Where we put our awareness is where we make the changes. Nice.
I feel more, when I find it, when I squeeze, I feel more locked in.
Cool.
I mean, I don't look like I feel locked in, but I do.
You look solid, mate.
I feel more locked in, wobbling all over the place.
The progression on this, we're going to look at going a little bit wider, and then I'm going to try and challenge you to the point where you feel like maybe you can't hold that position or it feels super wobbly. And then we're going to try and do a little bit more of a glute activating exercise and see if you can stabilize a little bit better. Yeah, so it's really challenging, right? So if your criteria is, I just need to hover that back toe an inch off the ground, suddenly that's so much harder than just like letting it hang out here and coming up straight. In my experience, and I have been a lazy bum expert most of my life in terms of I have a lazy bum.
Okay.
So I've had to learn how to switch mine on. Imagine that bucket of water, tip it towards your chin, slightly pulling your belly button down towards your core, and now squeeze your butt, but imagine there is a coin on the floor, balanced upright, and you're going to pick that coin up between your butt cheeks.
Okay.
And then you're going to focus on squeezing that coin and lifting it up to the sky. And then squeeze that coin as hard as you can at the top of the movement. So there's starting points. Like this is going to give you some stability to sort of find it. And then it's kind of like, okay, I'm there. I can still hold it like that. And then ideally, we want to get to the point, I'm going to have to slightly adjust my feet for this, that we could do that on a single leg. And we can get it firing there. So I also quite like to do like a butterfly hip lift as well. So bring your feet into sort of a comfortable froggy leg position and then see what it feels like to kind of push through your heels / outside edge of your foot, hands supporting, pick up that coin and then try and lift it up in that position. And see, does it feel different? Do I get quite a nice hip opening stretch? Let's retest. Really, if we're imagining that wall's in front of us, you want to be as flush to that wall as possible when you're doing a rock over. Can we find that control in that position? And can you get into those glutes? Think nice, long, upright engagement through the body, come into the posterior chain. Good, so I can see so much firing here. And that's exactly what we want. In our warm-up, we want to be activating muscles that we want to be stabilizing us when we're climbing. Energy and attention into that picking of the coin. So as we come over, am I squeezing the coin? And does that help me to stabilize in my rock over position? Okay, fab. Shall we go and see how on earth that helps us on the wall?
Yes, let's do it. So it'd be really interesting to apply some of what we were just talking about to this orange folder here and see what you thought.
Well, could you show me where you're at the moment and then we'll have a little look, eh?
Try and tweak it from there.
Interesting. Okay, so your focus on that handhold interests me. So I wonder if we use this as a where do we put our awareness challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to think less about trying desperately to hold that in any way I can and more about standing up on the right foot and squeezing your bum. So energy from the toe, knees, hips, over and up. Yeah, cool. So you've got the over, and then the last little piece of the puzzle
is the squeeze to keep in.
Yeah. So your bum came away from the wall a little bit just as you went to do the press. So even though this was kind of good in the distance you had underneath it and where your knee was, bum just stayed a little bit lazy. So if we were to break it down into just feeling what it's like to catch this as a thumbs bag, so you can get that belief that I can hold this, stepping up and in and doing that butt squeeze. Okay, cool. So that's the end move that you're feeling. Yeah. Did you feel that amount of tension through your right butt cheek? Give it your best lazy bum. And we need to create tension from the foot to your hand. And that's the full concept of this scanning thing. Yeah. Everything starts from your toe and finishes at your hand. Yeah, I've got quite a long neck. Also pointy toe. It's a full lengthening through the whole body for me. So we're moving up the body now and looking at shoulders. I would like you to demonstrate for me your best efforts at some scapular shrugs. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
I know I've seen you do them in your warm-up diligently.
So
go for it. On the jugs, on the top beast maker. This is one of those exercises, rest up there, that is very different from person to person.
Okay.
But everybody, I believe, should be doing scap shrugs. What I want to see is, do you have that control on a single arm, and what changes there?
Sure.
So could you now come up into your engaged position,
Yep.
and then try and slowly release one hand, even if that's just a hover over the hold for a second.
Okay.
For your level of strength and the grade that you climb, that could be a lot easier for you.
Sure.
So I would suggest that maybe once you've done your 2 arm scap shrugs,
Yeah.
start thinking about stabilising more onto one arm without that bend there. Because I think maybe habitually you feel safer and stronger in a more locked off position on one arm.
Definitely. Once you told me that my arm was actually cheating a little bit on the 2 arms, thinking about it being locked and doing it felt like a different story to when I would normally probably pull a bit in as well and go, oh, I can hang here.
Yeah.
But actually it wasn't quite locked and just in the shoulder.
Yeah.
I was probably bringing in other parts to help me out.
Yeah, which is super common. And like our body will always try and find the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
But that's also the path of that's most commonly trod.
Yeah.
If we retread a different path that may also bring us benefits, then sometimes it's worth having both up our sleeve rather than only being able to go into a deform. Have you ever used a TRX?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with eyes wise T's?
IYT,
Yep.
like the YMCA.
Exactly, just like that. So what I'm looking for here, and it might feel quite strange at first because I'm going to give you the criteria of trying to achieve this without pulling into the movement. Because I really want you to think about lengthening the neck. So when we're doing this, we're always thinking nice long jolly giraffe neck. We're also thinking in terms of whole chain, like everything we've spoken about, from where you push into your feet, from how you activate your glutes, and how you get your shoulders involved by keeping a nice long neck. When we do this exercise, I see people do eyes wise T's like this. Yeah. And it's near on pointless. I would like to see, yeah, that was you actually. I would like to see arms straight, long neck, shoulders engaged, glutes engaged, and then a real conscious awareness of almost a squeezing of the shoulder blades together as you lift up. But we're imagining that the body is a plank of wood, and we're trying to just lift that plank of wood up and down without breaking the chain anywhere. You want it to be enough of an angle that it's challenging and you can feel the muscles working, but when we start, we don't want to go too inclined that
sure.
You're
And
not
the
able
further
to
my
focus.
feet step back, the easier it gets.
Exactly.
Sure.
Closer to the anchor point, the harder it would be. So trying to sort of put a little bit of awareness on, do I feel like I want to pull myself up into this position?
Yeah.
Or am I able to use different muscles to achieve the same outcome? Almost like have a little peek at that and see if it has to bend or if you're able to get it into the back. Do you feel like a really jolly giraffe?
Trying to visualise.
You look like a lovely jolly giraffe. Do you have any awareness in your glutes and your feet at the moment?
I'm squeezing my bum, but I wasn't thinking about my feet, to be honest.
Okay, cool.
Oh, some total body engagement on that.
Amazing. That makes me very happy that you actually felt something different there. What is the importance of this shoulder engagement when we're climbing? In my experience, if you have that ability to engage in the traps and come more out of our try-hard turtle and more into our jolly giraffe on the wall, the advantages of that are pretty great. So let's go have a look at some pivoting around a straight arm with a nice engaged shoulder. So what I'm aiming to do is, if I was to just hang on this, disengaged, I've got very little control of the rest of my body. What I'm trying to find is that connection through. So if you, even here, if you look, I can't really reach this hold like that. Even if I try to sort of pull from there, I've got nothing. If I engage and then I engage my core, suddenly I can lift through there. The other reason why I often spend a lot of time teaching people how to strengthen their shoulders is the theory of pivoting around a straight arm and trying to reduce bicep abuse. If we don't have that confidence that we can do that, it's not going to come out on the wall. So for example, if we're doing like our drop knee drills, okay, so I'm trying to demonstrate here the difference between having that control of the scaps and engagement of the shoulder. If I'm coming into like a drop knee, for example, I can really work hard on getting that glute lift, pushing through my toes, squeezing my bum, still can't quite get to the hold. And then if I can pull that arm in, draw the shoulder back and down like we've been practicing, I suddenly go from not being able to reach it to being able to reach really quite far. But again, it's that whole chain. It's got to link together. So
Yeah, like.
So you should be maybe aiming for like the white and red at least, yeah.
It's like you can just keep pulling on that until you get.
It's mad, right?
I should be able to.
And your biceps still wanted to bend a little bit there.
Yeah.
Engaged,
for
sorry.
sure.
So really think about just getting it from the scaps, like we were practicing on the TRX. What can you get? And then really push out through your legs and go even further. Straighten out your legs. Yes, mate.
I had to tell that arm to get back straight.
Yeah, but it's the same application of exactly what we were doing on the TRX. It's that what length can you get out of your body? What control and stability can you get?
Yeah.
And then it's not to say that you have to be doing these textbook drills of all straight and rigid. We just want to have fun when we climb.
Yeah.
But we may as well train how to get the most out of our body.
Yeah.
So that when we do need it, we've got it in our back pocket. So it would apply in the drop knee here. And the way that we test it is, can I keep my pivoting arm straight, shoulder engaged, glutes engaged, straight line through the body, hover and reach. Exactly the same thing here. If I do an inside edge flag, if I focus on the glutes, but I don't focus on the shoulder, it's incredibly hard to engage the whole chain. Whereas if I think, okay, long giraffe neck, shoulders engaged, glutes are engaged, there's my straight line through the body. Same with the outside edge flag. We want to have this last piece of the puzzle to give us that extra bit of height. But it really does connect all the pieces of the puzzle together when you're doing
So
those
that's
flags.
just going with the glutes. But then I've also got.
Make sure that left leg straightens out as well. See if you can get that whole chain connected. So really straighten out this leg, squeeze the glutes, push the leg into the floor, into the wall. Yeah, nice.
Oh.
Did you feel the difference when you straightened that left leg?
Yeah, but it's hard.
Yeah.
To pull it all together with the tension.
But when you train that, so having done this for many years, it doesn't feel super hard for me anymore. And I do believe if everybody, so that, your outside edge, there's your natural position.
Yeah.
So in your drop knee and in your inside edge flag, your body isn't as connected.
Okay.
So practicing that, this is why I spend so much of my career teaching drop knees and inside edge flags, because they're not as natural for people. Okay, so I'm trying to get this rhythm, feet, hips, hands. How we scan, feet, hips, hands. So I'm placing my feet, finding that tension, getting the hips in close, engaging the hips, shoulder engaged, reaching through with the hand. And then I'd come back down to here, feet, hips, hands. Feet, hips, hands. Feet, I'm going to use any feet, hips, everything's engaged through the whole chain. Hands, feet, hips, hands. Feet, hips, hands.
So the first area that we looked at in the video today was all to do with our feet. And I know that feet are in particular one of the body parts that you are obsessed with, Bea. Now,
Fair to say.
We're really excited, Hannah and I, actually at the moment, to have started working with a Barefoot shoe brand called Vivo Barefoot. But I know that you've been wearing Barefoot shoes and Vivo Barefoot shoes for a long time.
So, I mean, bar the utter love for being barefoot and feeling a sort of natural and connected to the ground as often as possible, I guess the strengthening aspect, it just makes sense to me, and this is my personal opinion and my experience, but it makes sense to me to strengthen my feet day in, day out. And if I'm supporting my feet with arched soles of shoes, then they're kind of doing the work for me. Whereas when I'm walking around barefoot, the muscles of my feet are like working all the time. They're having to work with the ground and work around day-to-day life. It's what made sense for me and my body at a time in my life where I really needed something to change. My back was shot, and I was having knee pain. I couldn't run without pain. And it was just one of the things that I changed. And it was one of them, like everything. Everything is holistic. There's no one thing that will fix anything. But it was one of the things that I'm fairly certain helped me to find that connection and stability and control through my whole body.
Like you, I think we really enjoy the feeling a lot of times of the barefoot shoes.
Yeah.
I also think there's the excitement of potentially getting some like 24/7 training gains. Yeah. Because as climbers, we love training our fingers, but we completely neglect training our toes and our feet.
Yep.
Be cool to see where it goes. And if you're interested watching this video and you want to check them out, we're going to put links to Vivo Barefoot in the description of this video. We've also got a discount code for the Hannah Morris Bouldering community, which will be linked in the description. And if you have any questions about what they're like, how they feel, what we use them for, please do just comment on this video.
Final piece of the puzzle, which often seems like the first and sometimes only piece of the puzzle, our fingers and our hands, which are obviously incredibly important in climbing. But I think their obvious importance has perhaps meant that most people kind of rely on them maybe a bit too much. What I'm looking for here is your natural grip type, what your fingers do when I ask you to engage in a half grip. Can you see this finger has gone into a drag? In fact, all of them have. Right. On your left, you've got a little bit more of a 90-degree angle, but it's still slightly dipped on the second knuckle on your index finger. Yeah. But can you see this one's all curvy? Okay. What we're going to look at is what does it feel like to come into a half crimp? Yeah. And what if we introduced in our warm-up an edge type that's less natural for us, but trained us in a way that would make us stronger in an open grip and in a closed grip if we needed to use it. So, I recommend this to people that aren't having to drive to go climbing, but are being passengers. You can start warming up your half crimp on your own hand. So we can flatten out our knuckles, make a 90-degree edge, and you can play around with finding that 90-degree angle on your fingers. You see how you're naturally wanting to curve here? Yeah. Can you find that straight line? Use the whole of that crease in the hand to find that edge. Look at how far down mine is. Yeah. Yeah? And then push down a little bit more through your first pad. Yeah, perfect. So now you can see there's your 90-degree angle. And it's such a simple little thing, but if that's quite hard to find, and that's not an intuitive go-to, then why not play around with...
I think doing that there on my hand has made me realise, perhaps for the first time, the angle that you were talking about. Because when I do it on a beast maker, I can't see my fingers because they're in the slot.
Yep. So if you practice on here, and even on your warm-up on the way to the crag, when you then come to your fingerboard and you're doing your fingerboard warm-up routine, which I'm going to show you in a second, hopefully we've made that connection already, you know what it's going to feel like, and then when you go into that position, so pop back into those slots and see if you can feel, may not have been quite long enough to get this straight out, but the reason I've got you stood on the floor is that within this warm-up routine, I don't want you to be hanging yet. We're literally just going to be doing engagements and pulls. You're going to squat down a tiny bit so that your arms are comfortably straight, and you're going to basically do some scap shrugs whilst trying to maintain a pretty low intensity, but your right finger's already wanted to drop. Is that? Yeah. So left is happy days, right just wants to come. So a little bit more awareness in the pad on your right index finger. Nice. I do 5 on, 5 off. 3 sets, progressing up to whatever the individual's max is. So super gentle, and obviously depending on the ability of the individual, it would be easier or harder. So it's engaged. I always add in a little pelvic tilt. So again, we're getting that connection from the toe. I'm going feet, hips, shoulders, hands. Feet, hips, shoulders, hands. Engage for 5. Nice giraffe neck, obviously. And then release for 5. I would be building up quite quickly to finding that final piece of the puzzle that would be releasing, but still finding that connection through the whole body when I'm doing that exercise. This little noggin is really the driving force of everything that I've talked about today. And that seems quite obvious when you actually think about it, but it's incredible how underused it is. So I've tried to make it very clear in everything that I've done that this is about awareness. Where we put our attention, where we put our focus, what muscles we tell to fire are the ones that are fundamentally going to fire. So to pull it all together, if we can make a decision when we're doing an exercise to put our energy in that place, we're going to wake it up, we're going to fire it. It's going to start happening. So when you are consciously thinking about your feet, hips, hands chain, really think about it and have something that I give my clients is, like I mentioned earlier when I was climbing, a little mantra almost of feet, hips, hands. So when you climb, if you're thinking feet, hips, hands, your energy is probably going to go in that order as well. So really deciding that you want to make a change it takes effort and energy, but where we put really focused, mindful practice is where we make the biggest gains.
So I think in total, we have covered in that video a overview of commonly overlooked kind of areas or low-hanging fruit for improvement for the feet, the knees, the hips, the shoulders, the hands and the head. I know you definitely feel like there's a lot more you could have dived into today.
Yeah, but like I say, we were picking something that's kind of the most commonly broadly spotted thing over the widest range of people to try and give the most helpful information today. But by no means were all areas of the body covered thoroughly.
I'm going to leave links to Bee's coaching in the description of this video if you are interested in an in-person session. And beyond that, just thank you very much for watching and we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.